Okay, yellow belt in black sheep martial arts. Yellow belt, the first technique of yellow belt is Japanese sword. Japanese sword gets its name from when the samurai used to have their katanas on in their sheath on their sash or belt. And if we consider that most people, that's just current statistics show 80 to 85% of people are right-handed. Okay, so we practice this with my katana on my left hip, and I'm going to draw that katana. I'm going to reach in and I'm going to draw that katana, and I'm going to go out, turn this over, and cut. Now, one of the concepts in Kenpo is distance is your best friend. If I can put distance between me and my opponent, then it buys me some time to react to whatever they're throwing. So if I'm standing here neutral, somebody comes in with an attack, and I can step back to my fighting stance, I've added this much distance, which buys me time to react to whatever they're bringing against me. So in Japanese sword, I'm going to step back for that distance. I have this is what we call a cover hand. It floats right down my center line. So the main vital parts of our body are down our center line: throat, heart, chest, solar plexus, groin. So I want to protect this area. My eyes are up here. So if I take a shot to the eyes, I'm out of the fight. Take a shot to the groin, I could be out of the fight. Take a shot to the solar plexus, that diaphragm goes into spasm, I can't breathe. It's going to be much more difficult to fight. So I want to protect my center line and attack my opponent's center line. So Japanese sword A, I step back, I have this cover hand, I draw my sword, and then I cut. Okay? So this is where Japanese sword gets its name. I pull my sword, cut. So on Bob, I step back, cover hand, pull my sword, cut, right here. In the technique empty-handed, which is how we practice Japanese sword, I block up. This is what we call an extended outward block. I'm blocking up, turning this over, cutting the neck. So this would be against a left push or a left punch. It works if we execute this properly. It doesn't matter if it's a straight push or punch, or the ideal is if somebody loads this up with a haymaker and comes in, because that buys me even more time because they're loading this up. But we do practice it against a straight punch because it causes us to react faster in a straight punch. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So anytime a punch comes outside, it actually takes longer to get here, buys us more time. We love that. But we practice it against a straight punch because it makes us react and be more effective. So the proper work of Japanese sword A is, again, I want to cover my center line, and I want to step back for distance. So I'm going to take my left foot, I'm going to step back to 730 into a fighting stance. This right hand is going to come up like an uppercut through the chin. It's going to rotate out and turn away from my body as in a 45. So if you can see this, it's not up here this way, okay? Number one, when we do overhead blocks, we don't want to offer this part of our wrist, because if there's something sharp, we can get that cut and seriously lose the ability to lose, if they cut these tendons, this hand is weak. So I'm going to go out away from me, exposing and offering this bone if I have to block. So out away from me, open my hand, turn this over, and then I drop the elbow inside. Here, when I drop this elbow and cut to the neck, this allows this power. Anytime, one of the Kenpo concepts is anytime my elbow gets outside of my shoulder, my deltoid, this is weaker than it is when it's inside. Our strength is inside. It allows me to use my pecs, my delts, and my lats, plus my arm strength for these strikes. So I want to come up and I turn this over, and I'm not going real big with this, okay? In the beginning, students typically will go real big on that, and then even if it comes out this, we teach them bring that elbow back inside as soon as you can. So the elbow comes in and down, and here's my chop. So against Bob, and obviously we're at a disadvantage because Bob can't step in. So I had to start closer to him than I would do on the street. But as he steps in with this left, I'm up here. If he walks into this, great. If he walks into this as this is coming up, great. I'm okay with that. So it's going to come up the center line and it's going to rotate out. Then I open my hand, turn this over, and I'm going to drop right here. So you get the questions a lot. Where on the body, where on the neck are we hitting with this strike? There's advantages to different placements. At yellow belt, we're just teaching you that gross movement because we don't know where our opponent's going to be. And if when this is dropping in, if I hit his carotid, that's okay. I mean, that shocks his brain, stops the blood flow for half a second or so, disrupts the chi in his body with that hitting his carotid. If I come in here and I go a little further and I get back here to the brachial plexus, still, brachial plexus is a great shot. There's a bunch of nerves in there. A 10% shot to that brachial can stun an opponent for 30 seconds. So if I bring this up and I come in here and I hit it right underneath his jawline, it is mastoid. Still a lot of nerves in there. It's a really good strike. And I'm going to be, when I hit that and I come in, that energy should transfer through that carotid into the vagus nerve as well. If you're familiar with the vagus nerve, it does control a lot of our body's movements. And so a good vagus nerve shock will shut down an opponent for a few seconds, again allowing us time to get away. So in Japanese sword, I step back and I chop in, okay? Now notice one of the things that when I'm bringing this up, when I drop in, either if I have to step in for my opponent, which we don't practice necessarily in this technique, I at least want to, when this elbow drops in, I also want to settle my body and drop my weight. So in Black Sheep Kenpo, we talk a lot about hitting them with our whole body, hitting them with our whole body, hitting them with our weight each time. So in this case, this shot, if I'm doing it backwards, here, when I drop this in, I'm dropping my weight. It's called marriaging the strike with gravity. I'm going with gravity to drop that. So it allows me to hit him with all of my weight. So in this case, up, out, boom, drop in. Okay? In this case, you can see me kind of shuffling in because, again, Bob's not falling into me. If an opponent's really throwing a punch and they're stepping, they're coming to me. Which leads me into another concept. When we're practicing on a stationary target, or we're practicing with an uke, a partner, then most of the time they're throwing this punch this way, they're stopping. But on the street, somebody's not doing that. They're trying to take my head off. So they're really coming into that. So if he's really coming in, I'm going to get hit in the head, accidentally, maybe. Okay? So that's why this cover hand has to be here to stop this, and then I meet him as he's coming in. Another Kenpo concept we talk about is the use of force. So force equals, and I'll paraphrase the formula a little bit, but force equals mass times speed squared, okay? So the idea is if he's coming at 5 miles an hour and I'm going at him at 5 miles an hour, it's not 2 times the force, okay? It's not his mass and my mass meeting. It's our masses meeting plus the speed to get there. As speed doubles, force quadruples. So the speed would double in this case because if he's coming at 5 and I come at 5, it's actually 4 times the force when we make contact. So I repeatedly educate our students and encourage them. Anytime that we can do it, we want to add all the concepts, marriage of gravity, and dropping this in this strike. Okay? So that's Japanese sword A. It comes up, drop that elbow in, hit the neck. Okay? So that's where we stop in practicing that technique. We could go ahead and cover out and all of that. We get into that at orange belt a little more. Right now, we're staying here in my fighting position. Japanese sword B, the same thing. That left punch, push, roundhouse, whatever's coming in. I cover myself here. This comes right to the center line, blocks out. This is at a 45 this way. I don't want my elbow and opening the shoulder up because I give my opponent a much bigger target and I'm weaker. So I'm in here where I'm strong, and then we return fire punch. Boom. So if I'm blocking up in this technique, that's opening up his center line this way, and then I'm punching here to the solar plexus. I could punch to the face. I don't encourage most of our students to spend a lot of time punching in the face, because in this case, when I'm going straight in, if I hit his teeth, I'm going to end up with a broken hand. I'm going to end up with maybe a tooth stuck in my knuckle, some blood. I don't know what kind of diseases he has. I don't want to pick up anything like that. So in the beginning, we're teaching here. Boom. This punch comes in, and I set that. Ideally, these front two knuckles right into that solar plexus. So talking about a good punch. A good punch, when we fire it, aligns these two knuckles with the bones in my arm. This way. This way. So if I crank my wrist and I hit this way and I hit a target, I'm busting my wrist. One of the things that when we look at like American boxing is they can throw different punches and be safe than we can on the street, because they have their wrists wrapped or taped and they have gloves on. We don't necessarily have that ability to say, oh, stop, Mr. Bad Guy, I need to tape up, put my gloves on before we get out there, right? So the idea is on the street, if I'm going to hit with my fist, I'd rather hit something that stops my opponent and still protects me. I want to be able to stay in the fight or leave with minimal injuries. So when I do Japanese sword B, this fires in and I'm pointing these two knuckles right into that solar plexus. So once this hand comes out, it comes back in to protect me. And in the beginning, I teach students lay this right here on their head, elbow in front of my opponent here, and then I use my hips, boom, fire that in. That's Japanese sword B. Chinese sword works against a right punch. So a right punch, whether it's a straight punch or that haymaker roundhouse punch, or even a push, a right push, because we don't know necessarily what they're throwing. We might in the instant that they throw it, but if this comes in straight, then I need to be able to react. So I'm still going to do the same thing. I'm going to take my left foot, I'm going to step back to 7:30. Remember, when I say 7:30 and I'm using the times, I'm using times on a clock. So wherever I'm facing is 12 in that moment. So this would be my 3, 6, 9, 12. So my left foot goes back to 7:30 into a good fighting stance. My hands come up. I do a right inward block across here. Notice I'm not loading this block up this way, because if a punch is coming in and I do this motion, I may get hit before it comes in. So people in the early stages, they want to load this up and come in and hammer. There's a time for that hammer. You will see it in Kenpo. Typically, it's where I know I'm safe. If I'm on the outside of his body and I've checked this weapon and I have this, a hammer block works really well. I have time to load that up because I'm already in a safe position. But if he's straight on this way, then if I come here and load this up, I may get hit before that comes in. So instead, I want to come right up my center line and torque this in here. So, and if watch my hips, I'm going to pull with this hip, push with my front hip here. Okay, so we hit, and there is as we advance this, there is a raking motion where I hit and I rake down this radial, because that radial is loaded up with nerves. So if I hit it and rake it, then ideally it weakens this hand. So I hit, pull this in, come back, chop. So on Japanese sword, we got a palm up chop. On Chinese sword, it's a palm down chop. Does it make a difference? Can depend on the angle. In the beginning stages, it's really about just learning this strike, this strike, this strike, this strike. So there is a drill that we will work where you get a bag at home, you bring this right hand to my left ear, chop, and again, drop my weight here. Suck him in, boom. Now, with this one, again, I can be hitting, and then anywhere in this neck is going to be effective. The mastoid, the brachial, I can come down on that clavicle and you can snap that clavicle. So I block here, boom. What you can't really see, and I'll use this arm, is there's a point partway down the forearm, right in here, that's called pericardium 6. It's a meridian. And the pericardium is the muscle that surrounds the heart. Okay? The pericardium 6, although you can hit that pretty good, it doesn't hurt real bad. it's in dim mock, it's what's called a setup point. So if I hit here, then the next meridian that I strike, it actually intensifies the effectiveness of the strike. So we don't talk about it a lot in Chinese sword, but blocking, whether I hit down here or I hit any of these triple warmer meridians that come up through here, or even if it's on top and I hit this radial nerve, it's still an effective nerve meridian strike that amplifies the next strike. So in Chinese sword, it's block that arm, this comes back, and I chop this in and set that in here, again, in these nerves in the neck. Worst case, if I hit up here in the face because my precision is off, my accuracy is off, and I hit up here, this face is still loaded with a lot of nerves that can be pretty devastating. Okay, you can actually, with this strike, bust that orbital bone, can cause some serious issues. So on Chinese sword A, I step back, and notice I'm dropping my weight, dropping the elbow in here. This comes and chop. Okay, Chinese sword B, same first motion. This blocks in, rakes in. Now this time I'm going to take and I'm going to back fist, leading with these two knuckles, and the ideal place to hit is this temple. So in dim mock, they talk about if we hit this PC6 on one side of the body, and then we hit the temple up here, it can be a devastating knockout strike and potentially lethal. So the idea is when I'm hitting that forearm, blocking in, and then I come back and I'm aiming these two knuckles right at that temple. Again, that's the ideal place to hit. As snipers, we want to be as accurate and precise as we can be. But if I lay this in, again, I can hit this brachial, I can hit the vagus nerve, I can hit the carotid, I can hit the mastoid. Any of this in here is still an effective strike. However, for practice, we do practice teaching this up here because ideally this motion, boom, ends the fight right there. That temple strike ideally is going to make a knockout, gives me time to get away. All right, delayed sword, think of, so our chop is also called a sword hand because you can see in Japanese sword, it's like a sword this way, okay? So when we say, in Tracy's techniques, if it says sword, most likely it is a sword hand strike. It's kind of a mnemonic to help us remember, okay, here's what I'm doing in this technique. So in delayed sword, I'm delaying the sword hand strike. So it starts like Chinese sword. That right push or right punch or right roundhouse comes in, I step back, I block it. Now, as I'm stepping back, notice I'm still going to step back to the 730. This time, I'm going to shift my weight. Instead of a traditional fighting stance or about 50-50 weight split, in this case, I'm going to be back to about 70-30 or 80-20. I'm going to do that block. I'm going to bring this knee straight up and flip out that foot. So the knee comes up, straight up. I point my toes and I snap kick with the shoelaces. So where that's going is his groin. Because if we get hit in the groin, the head comes forward. So we go back to that idea. If I can catch my opponent moving into me, I don't have to work as hard to deliver 4 times or greater the force. So delayed sword, I step back with the first move's the Chinese sword, snap kick the groin, use my weight, drop in and chop. Step back, snap kick, chop. So once we do the snap kick, we allow our bodies to fall forward for that marriage of gravity. Kenpo shield. Kenpo shield comes from the days of the Roman soldiers. And if you could think about one of their techniques was when my opponent is striking, I step back, and if their sword's coming in, I block it up and I stick underneath it this way. So as their strike comes in with a spear or sword, I step back, block it up, boom, and they run into my spear or my sword. So mimicking that movement, I'm going to step back. Now, with this time, in the first 2 techniques, we're stepping left foot back to 730. In Kenpo shield, we're going to step right foot back to 430. Okay, so I step back and I block up, and notice again, I'm not offering my wrist, I'm offering my bones, and a straight punch low. I'm blocking them up, which stretches out. If I block this arm up, it stretches out this target, stretches out those muscles, gives me access to that diaphragm and all the nerves that run through the lower chest. And I'm striking, again, ideally we're aiming for that solar plexus. So I step back, boom. It's a simultaneous movement. And we can do it both sides, the same thing. This comes up. Now, why do we step back with a particular leg? If I'm throwing a reverse punch, and a reverse punch is off the back side of my body. So most of you guys will know jabs off the front, it's a quick punch. Reverse punch is a power punch. So when I throw this motion in Kenpo shield, I want this heel on the floor and I want this hip pushing forward into this. Because when this makes contact here, if this foot's turned sideways, what happens is I'm splitting my own energy this way. So when they run into it, it's naturally going to turn here. If it turns here, that gives them more access to me. So by turning this foot and hip toward them, then that keeps all my energy straight on in their midline. Okay? Then additionally, when they run into this, the energy in our bodies, when they hit this, goes through me and into the ground so that I'm braced. Even if I'm in our fighting stance, which has the heel off the floor, and they run into this, it can drive me back, which isn't, maybe not a huge issue in that. The idea is with this technique is to practice this boom, where I'm actually drawing energy from the ground for this strike. So Kenpo shield, here, here. And notice that's a simultaneous block and strike, okay? Knee of vengeance. Knee of vengeance is against somebody with a two-hand grab. Say it's a front choke or just a lapel grab. It doesn't really matter. Or if we're training, a lot of people are training BJJ right now. You got a lot of times you're getting in that clinch in MMA and they're grabbing that neck. So if you can picture two hands grabbing my throat, first thing that I teach our students is if they put two hands on us, we can be thankful, because if they grab us with one hand, they still have this weapon and both legs, right? If they put two hands on us, the legs are all I have to worry about in that moment. So it actually buys us some time. So when they grab us high, I'm going to grab their hands and I'm going to, a lot of times I'm going to pin those to me. In Knee of Vengeance, they're coming in. If they don't get this set real tight, it's okay. As soon as those hands come in, they actually make contact with me, I'm going to counter grab them. I'm just going to reach up and I'm going to counter grab their shoulders. I'm not going to worry about trying to clinch. I could come in and do some double chops to their carotids and there's a knockout there, but I'm going to counter grab and I'm going to drive this knee real high, right into the groin or the stomach. So when you do this first movement, think of taking a stick, just a stick out from outside, and you're busting it over your knee. That's what you want. That's the movement that you want to create. I want to pull them right here, okay? Then I'm going to turn and I'm going to rake down their shin, stomp their foot. Now, by turning here, raking down that shin and stomping the foot, when I stomp their foot, again, they're reacting to it. Their head's coming forward. When the head comes forward, I land with a sandwich. So I knee, turn, stomp, sandwich. Fang and the Cobra builds on Knee of Vengeance. Fang and the Cobra, they set that grip. They're pulling me in or pushing me back, and a lot of times when they grab, they're going to push you back to try to control you. We're going to trap those arms and tuck this elbow. I want to trap their arms to me. And I'm going to step my left foot back to 730 again, and I'm going to bring this spear hand straight up between their arms. So it's kind of hard to see here on Bob, but if he does this, this comes right to his center line, right to that trachea, okay, right to that Adam's apple. Spear hand, right here. Then it's going to come around, and it's going to go to the eyes. So I step back, I trap his arms, I spear to the throat, I come around this arm, and I come right in here to his eyes, okay? The idea is that I'm not letting him go. He can't pull back. 1, 2. All right. His head, ideally, even if I hit in here again, the nerves that are under these eyes, this can slide right up. So he's taking a shot to the trachea. He's taking a shot to the eyes. His head's rocking back. That buys me some time. So when his head rocks back, then I counter grab him. I keep him from falling backwards. Now I'm going to do knee of vengeance. But knee of vengeance starts from a neutral position. We're back in a right side forward fighting position. So I'm going to shuffle up and then bust the knee and finish with knee of vengeance. So fang the cobra, spear the throat, spear the eyes, counter grab, step up, knee, rake down the shin, stomp the foot, land with a sandwich. So that sandwich, once I've here, you can grab the ear, and I'll teach beginning students, grab that ear so you have a target, and then I'm landing right here. This could be a thumb to the eye, sandwich. And that sandwich, when it comes in, again, I can hit anywhere in here on the side of the head and it be effective. If I hit this mastoid right in here with the angle that it's coming in and my weight dropping, then I'm probably separating this jaw. And like Jake Paul, they're going to be eating through a straw, eating all their meals and drinking their meals through a straw for 6 to 8 weeks. Okay? So, in this way. Twisting talon. Twisting talon is where we start to get into our wrist grabs. In the Tracy system, if the technique has the name talon in it, it's most often against a grab. So like think of talons of an eagle, they're gripping. Okay? So in this case, it's a straight on left, my opponent's left to my right wrist. All right? So when they grab, I'm going to again cover hand and step back for distance. Then I want to get my elbow below theirs in the ideal situation. So I step back and I pull straight up. Then as I come down, I'm going to come down and counter grab them, and at the same time, I'm going to go to a reverse soft bow. This loads up my back kick. I don't want this heel on the floor, okay? I want this loaded up here, because now I'm going to try to kick myself in my back pocket and then back kick my opponent. Boom, here. So we don't want to load this kick up this way, because that puts me on one foot for a long time and can get run over. So I want to be here, turn, bring it straight up, out, and pull them into that back kick. So he's grabbing, I step back, I come up, counter, boom, pull him in here to this back kick. So the back kick, if you think of a horse kicking somebody, it's a very, very powerful kick. It is one of the most powerful kicks from stationary that we have, because we're using the largest muscle groups in our body. We're using that quadricep to push, okay? We also get our glutes involved. So the glutes and the quadriceps, largest muscle group in the body. So I want to bring this straight up, straight back. And ideally, I'm pulling my toes and the ball of my foot to me and hitting with that heel. Students will say, does it matter where you're kicking? At this level, no, because if I kick him in the knee or I kick him in the shin with that back kick, it's still going to be pretty devastating, right? If I can get that up to that solar plexus, then it's probably going to be more effective. And when I'm pulling my opponent and pulling him in, then he's coming in, he's bent over, that back kick will come right up into the solar plexus. When we do twisting talon B, the easiest way to describe twisting talon B is if my opponent's grabbing and he pulls me. So if he pulls me as I'm trying to step back, it's going to be hard for me to go back into this angle. So what's going to happen is he pulls, my body turns. And instead of fighting that, I'm going to roll with it. Because especially if I'm not expecting it. So he grabs, he's pulling, and think of it, he's grabbing to pull me into a punch, right? If he's grabbing straight across my body, his left to my right, he's probably pulling me into a punch, because why else would they grab your wrist? They want to control you, they're probably going to hit you. So when he pulls, it turns my body. So my left foot, now, instead of going to 730, my left foot rolls over to 430. Everything else is the same as twisting talon A. Come down, counter grab, pull him into a back kick. Okay? So twisting talon A, I'm here, here, back kick. Twisting talon B, as I go to step back, they turn my body, I roll with it, boom, straight back. Returning dragon is somebody grabbing me from the side, so from the right side. If you think they're doing a left grab to my right shoulder, they're probably going to punch me. Again, why else are they grabbing my shoulder from this side? They're going to pull me in and hit me, okay? So when Bob counter grabs, when he grabs here, then I'm going to hold him to me, and I'm going to step out and go to that same reverse soft bow that we did in the last technique. This time as he comes out, I'm going to bring this arm up here in this motion. Ideally, this wrist bone is hitting that radial, okay? Even if it doesn't hit the radial and I go a little further out with it, I can break this, not break the bone, but break that straight arm. When you hit here, it tends to bend. So as I come here, notice this is coming up and counter grabbing him to keep him from getting away. If I make contact with him, I know where he's at. I counter grab his shoulder, pull him into that back kick. So it's one, counter grab, boom, pull him into the back kick. So that is your returning dragon. In the Tracy system, if dragon's in the name, typically it's a short kick like that. Short kick meaning it's not a full thrust. It's a kick where it's, because dragons had short legs. So in this case, short leg, boom, come in here. So that's your returning dragon. It's an attack from the right side, which would be my 9 o'clock. His left on my right shoulder. Breaking the sword. Breaking the sword is against a sucker punch from a handshake. So if my opponent is shaking my hand this way, they bring me into a punch, okay? Or they're shaking right-handed, they pull me in to a punch this way. So what I want to do, if you can picture the opponent here, is I'm going to come in and I'm going to counter grab their hand. Now, one of the key aspects of breaking the sword is I need to shock their brain when I move. Because if I just start moving, then my opponent's going to pick up on that. They're going to react. So there's using the strikes for a parasympathetic nerve system. If we do something to an opponent that they're not expecting, for just a moment, their thought process is they're intent on hitting me or grabbing me or whatever it is. If I can give them a quick strike, even if it's not a super hard strike, it still sends energy to their brain for them to process. So in that processing time buys me time to counter the attack. So this idea is when I go to breaking the sword, we're in a handshake. When I come in to make this move, I'm going to slap the top of their hand. Again, not super effective, but it does disrupt their processing, their mental processing, buying me some time. So this time I'm going to take my left foot and I'm going to do a twist stance into my left foot to 130 in a twist stance. So I come in, I slap their hand here. Then I'm going to twist out to my horse stance and take this high. Bring this down, keep this elbow high, and I'm going to hyperextend their elbow this way. So if you could picture Bob and I are here, we're shaking hands this way. I come in and slap, I get up underneath him, and I break his elbow. When I take this arm across his body, it takes out the power from this weapon. So if you can think, as I come in and slap, and I'm coming underneath it this way, I'm moving this shoulder back, and he would literally have to reach over his body to hit me. So I come in here, take this high, and then I bring this down, his elbow on my shoulder like a lever, and I just pop that, hyperextend that elbow. When you're practicing this technique with an uke, with a partner, understand it only takes 11 pounds of pressure to hyperextend an elbow. So once we get here, we want to practice this on an opponent very slowly, because it doesn't take a lot to hyperextend that elbow. And the last technique for yellow belt is evasion. Evasion is against an overhead club attack. A tire iron, a stick, ideally something that's not sharp, or it could just be an overhead strike. This is not super common, but somebody stepping in like this would be if they're coming in here to try to hit you. When they come in, the first thing we want to do is get off line. Okay, when I say get off line, I don't want to be in a straight line. If they're aiming right here, I don't want to go straight back. It's not hard. Even if Bob moves straight back, it's not hard for me to just lean in and extend in and still catch him. I don't want to block an overhead club if I don't have to. I'd rather just move my body so it can't hit me. So in this case, when this is coming overhead, even if I step back off here, it's not hard for them to still catch me, okay? So when they're coming in with an overhead club, I want to move offline, but I want to move forward. That allows this strike to come this way. Because it doesn't matter if they lean in. They have to stop their strike, load back up, or twist their arm or something. Again, if we can interrupt their processing, then it buys us time to react. So in evasion, when that's coming over, this time I'm going to bring this right hand to chamber to cover these ribs, because if I take a shot, I'd rather take it here than take it on these ribs, okay? This is still going to hurt, but I can stay in the fight. Even if this arm is dead, I can still fight. You come in here and they hit these ribs and hit that diaphragm, knock the wind out of me, bust some ribs. It's hard to fight with broken ribs. So I'm going to move forward. My left foot is going to go to 1030, okay? And I'm going to bring this cover hand in. This protects the side of my head from that strike. This protects my body this way, okay? So then picture it, they're coming quick, so I have to react quick. So I come here quickly, look, bring this leg up, and then I blow out their knee, which if they're stepping forward with a right and I hop over here, I'm blowing out the side of this knee this way. Even if they step here and come forward, then I'm going to take the inside of this leg. So it doesn't matter to me whether they're this way or this way. I'm going for that knee. Here I would buckle it, tear the inside of the knee, rotate them down. In this case, they step forward. I blow out this knee, it's buckled this way. Super simple technique, but with high effectiveness. So again, with evasion, overhead club, I evade the attack, strike down, blow out that knee. Okay?